INXS Need You Tonight here on BBC Radio Suffolk. Georgia Jameson with you until 6 o'clock. Over 300 kilograms, that's almost 50 stone of illegal meat, has been seized at our ports of Felixstowe and Harwich in just 2 weeks. It's part of a joint operation between Suffolk Port Health Authority and Border Force to fight the spread of African Swine Fever. Earlier this afternoon, I spoke to Hannah Panting, Operations Manager at the Port Authority.
My team work as part of the Suffolk Council. We work for Suffolk Coastal Port Health Authority. Normally we perform checks at the Port of Felixstowe and Harwich on imported food, but this is a special project where we're looking to prevent African Swine Fever coming into the UK via intercepting imports at the border.
And tell us about the meat that's been seized.
Okay, so there's a variety of different things that come through. Some meat that comes is actually fit for import, which comes with health marks and the required certification. However, a lot of things are just coming unpackaged, partially frozen, defrosting, in mixed consignments where there's lots of quantity of goods with other things as well, such as fruit and vegetables, clothing maybe, personal imports. So it's quite mixed.
And this meat's coming in from the EU. So how big a problem is the bringing in of illegal meats?
Okay, so this specific project is looking at meat which comes in, pork and wild boar products, which can potentially be infected with African swine fever. So that's a real issue for coming into the UK because it's highly contagious viral disease. And if it got into the UK pig populations, then it would be really significant impact on the farm economy. So DEFRA have led this project. They're asking us to see is there anything or seize or get surrendered anything which is over 2 kilograms in personal allowance.
Yeah, and as part of that, there's been a risk assessment, hasn't there, for the amount of meat coming in so that it is restricted. So this illegal meat, is it trying to get round that?
I couldn't comment on why people are trying to bring it. It could be that people are just not aware of the import requirements. We do that quite regularly in our role across the board. It could be that maybe they are bringing some things for personal consumption and don't realise the restrictions over the allowance. There could be a variety of reasons, really.
What happens to the meat that has been seized? Does it have to be destroyed?
Yes, it is. So our team will either approach the members of the public to ask them to surrender the goods to us, or if they choose not to do so, then they will provide a seizure notice. The goods will be weighed, it's bagged to make sure there's no contamination of anything else that goes on. It's immediately frozen. The team will ask the individual to complete forms and reports, and then we arrange for destruction of those goods and they're destroyed.
And as you mentioned there, this project is to try and reduce the chances of African swine fever getting into the country. How much of a problem is the disease, or could the disease be?
I think it could really have potentially devastating effects if it got into the pig population. Definitely, DEFRA have got real concerns over it becoming sort of widespread within the UK itself. So this has been brought in at an early stage when they've identified that there may be an issue in some EU countries, and this is a safeguard measure that hopefully will prevent some of that happening.
And you've seized over 300 kilogram of meat across the last 2 weeks, so it shows how serious the threat is.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. This operation is not just specific to Felixstowe and Harwich, where our teams operate. It's a UK-wide operation. So if you think about that scale just in the ports that we operate in, then nationally, hopefully the project is having such a large impact elsewhere as well.
That was Hannah Panting, Operations Manager at the Suffolk Port Health Authority, talking to me just before I came on air. News headlines.